Okay. This is the Port of Allyn Public Water System Advisory Committee special meeting. And first order is roll call. Jeff Carey. Are you doing this like you did? Which way are we doing this? Like Port or like county?
Down the final, the board doesn't roll call.
Okay,
You're all here.
so everybody announces who they are.
Oh, wait.
Got Port. There you go.
Jim Free.
Thank you.
Three members.
Thank you. Public comment. Don't see any of the evidence here, but on Zoom, it looks like we got a couple parties. We'll start with you, Mr. Cito.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my comment. Yeah, this is Joe Cedarland, and I'm the developer out there in Allyn, and this wanted to address the water committee. I haven't been to any of your meetings, so I apologize for that, but I didn't realize they were on Zoom. But just wanted to address some concerns of lack of transparency with the process of policy development regulations, and just a general lack of public awareness of what the water committee is doing, what the Port of Allyn is doing. As a public steward and someone tasked with serving the public, I think it's important that policy changes are sent out in advance to the public. I think that it's very important that transparency is at a very high level so that public trust is not harmed. And I think that the last adoption of policy was not conforming with that. It was slipped through in the last commissioners meeting. It was sent out. I got an email. I saw nothing about it prior to that happening. I had requested from the port previously that emails with agendas of what's going to happen and what the public should be informed on be sent out in advance of changes happening. That has not been, no action has been taken on that request. Also just had some concerns about we are in the process of getting ready to start construction on another 10 lots in Allyn on extending utility infrastructure. And we had a sewer permit that was approved last year. We submitted it to Public Works, and within 3 weeks, we had an approval on that permit. We submitted the engineered site plans. We also submitted the plans to Director Merrill on October 14th and received no response to that email. But we did have a meeting, a pre-construction meeting with Mason County departments and from representatives from Public Works and PUD and the Port of Allyn and Mr. Carey were all there. And there was no objections to any construction beginning on the water line or the sewer line. And so I am requesting that the committee honors that approval, and that we be allowed to continue moving forward with our water line construction on those 10 lots for the benefit of the public, for the benefit of affordable housing, and for young families and minorities in Mason County. I think it's important that the committee recognizes that high cost and high regulations are blocking access to those very critical groups for them getting affordable housing for their families. So if you could consider that, and I'll have to follow up at the end for the rest of the comment.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Van Beskirk.
No, I don't have any comments, Jeff. I just wanted to listen in. I've been absent from the port for a while and just want to see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you much. Nobody in the public and no other on Zoom land. We will go to the discussion and recommendation, item number 4 regarding the bid documents for Department of Health consolidation of Port Al and the Allyn Carry water systems. And also at the end, there's another sentence giving, reviewing the as-built construction drawings, some critiquing there. So anyway, would there be a summary of what you want to give as far as, you know, the lay of the land?
Well, in general, these plans are tighten up, of course, create some redundancy to us having 2 well systems together. There's most various bits and pieces here that I'd like to just kind of go over that we see as proposed by West Allyn Engineering. And get comments from the water committee on recommendation. Actually ending in here before we bring this all to the commission. It seems to be that there is a few questions we're having. And I printed off all those discussions. While we discuss, and we'll run up.
Okay. Was that email you sent out?
Yes, and this response.
Oh, it was,
Yeah.
good thing. We'll continue with the discussion components of it. One thing that has to be, in my mind, that has to be clarified is in the beginning, along the way, it was determined that this well would be the backup well. And the Allyn Carry well would be the primary. And in doing so, somewhere along the line, when I look at what's laid out here, I don't see how we get right there. It was, yes, the Allyn Carry well can feed the tank, is the way I look at it. And that would disseminate water to both what I call the lower 140 elevation, the lower 140, you know, the gravity portion. And then the old section of my old water system, which is at basically 100 to 175. And things I look at least address getting water to it, except that I don't see how, at least in the layout, how water gets from that as backup to the Allyn Carry. And that was the reason I thought in the original discussion with the engineer.
So how many gallons a minute is the existing well on the carry system?
50. You know, when it first pumps, it's 53, and at the top end, it's 49, but average 50.
Carry at 50 gallons.
Right.
And you're running now basically off of pressure tanks? Yeah, bladder tanks to create pressure to get back up. How close
I should have brought
to
it
the tank is your farthest connection? Your home that you're feeding close to the tank there.
the closest one.
Yeah.
Because I split so.
And
probably-
feet.
Oh, and feet.
Yeah.
The tank, bottom of the tank is at 210 in elevation. The highest house on our old system is about 160.
And we're trying to get, you're saying that the engineer said from your system, your well will be able to supply water to the storage tank.
Right.
And
Through this pressure reducer compensating valve. And I looked at the specs of it, and it makes sense to in that sphere, meaning what it's doing to push water up into the tank and what it's doing to feed water to the old Allyn Carry system. That all makes sense pressure wise. But if Travis, if the spec was to, incorporate that as the backup, that won't work real well. I mean, it doesn't provide backup.
what I was wondering was, is your well, the engineer saying it's strong enough to overcome the head pressure to get to the tank, even at the tank's fullest point, it's strong enough to push up.
If they boost, if, you saw one of those specs where they had like 72 on the compensating side.
Let's find that page. Can you-
Yeah. Yeah.
You-
Nope. Highlighted, I thought, so. Yes. Oh, this is the email.
So if I
That's
may,
what I'm missing.
if I may actually pose a question for the engineer, how does this design make the POA waterfront pump a backup for the entire system in this design? Is that the question?
That's as clear as it could be, I guess. From my vantage point.
How many gallons a minute is the well down here?
What is it now? It was originally, 60,
Okay, so 65 gallons.
but it's changed because of pump failure, they replaced the pump.
Okay.
But for engineering wise, it was 65.
Right, 65 gallons a minute, and it's feeding the high tank, obviously.
Yes.
Why did he want to just run? So he wanted to use your well, your existing well, to feed the entire system, and then this would be just a backup, just sitting here waiting in case we need it? Is that backup meaning?
Yeah,
Well, why didn't the engineer just stay with what we're doing here?
in the water rights application that the board has, there's a spec at some point in time, it's not defined exactly what that point in time is. But the water right was supposed to be taken from another well, not this well, because the proximity of salt water, proximity of sand, those
Okay.
issues.
But this one does not have saltwater intrusion.
No, it does have.
Okay, it's super common. If you're in the same quadrant on your section, the water rights and stuff can stay with this well.
They actually. Yeah. That's the main,
Everything got moved.
not every. There's still a percentage of water rights.
All I gotta say is it would have been much easier it's much easier to control water coming down, step down the pressure than to
Right.
try to create the pressure
Yeah, I agree.
to get to the tank. So it would have been much easier to leave Port of Allen filling the tank. And it would basically supplement some of Kerry's
Right.
water.
Right.
With a pressure reducing valve, we could have stepped down, whatever, we could have navigated that. But
Yeah, see, I gave when I turned over the system to the court, I did give a drawing because the previous executive director wanted at one point, as part of the transaction, as part of the cost of doing it, okay, build a booster pump so they can tie the things together. That didn't pan out real well, and I came up with a different design, not vetted through engineering, but another design with common components. And basically presented that to West Sound Engineering. And then I know they didn't follow that, but they went to this compensating and reduction valve assembly. The problem with that is they don't, the way I had it laid out is it water from either one and be fine, covered that way. But now we got this little island created in the process. And I should have probably brought, my drawing that I was trying to do but it's different than what they're proposing. So I guess what I'm saying is, we're looking at this and saying, what's the good, the bad, the ugly? If any, to this proposal.
where's the spec on the compensator? Is it anywhere?
It's in
Writing in
Yeah,
there.
it's in the writing of the bid.
Okay.
Is it in the bid also?
Yeah, I would say the combination valve
Okay.
section is number 5.
Okay, I
did
did,
not provide. Yeah.
but this, did you provide the other members that email from 9/24?
What was
Did you provide the other members the email from 9/24? That's
Yeah,
what,
the question.
No, this was the email 9/24, September last year. Okay. In there, that's where he, the engineer, spelled out the specs that he was using.
Okay. So I gotta understand, he wants to use Kerry well. And he wants to go through this compensator valve to feed the tank.
Yes.
And use Kerry well as main functioning well until something happened with the Kerry well or something like that, it can't maintain, then the Port Allen well would be back up.
Yeah.
So it would be just idle, it would be just sitting there until it's needed, and we would,
He thought it was discussed that, like once a week, once a month, or some cycle that would be tested, so you know what's there.
okay, would it be, and I imagine at some point we're gonna get communication. Would it be set up to where if the tank got to 10 feet or 5 feet, then it could fire up on its own accord to supply water? Okay,
I assume either that or through pressure, one or two.
okay, so through this compensator valve, this Port Allen well will be able to feed the tank. And we'll be able to get around this compensator valve.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
And get to the,
yes.
That's on that, manual. Yeah.
now we're talking at it, but it won't be once the compensator gets in here, like the communication.
Right.
And the tank drops from low, then it'd be like, wait a minute, they need more.
Right,
Maybe a strainer, feed break from the voluntary well house. And it would tie in after that, it would push it from there to the main line that feeds up the tank. So the current well will always be pushing the tank no matter when.
If it comes off,
It'll push the tank regardless. It's just that, the Allen carry combination valve, once it's installed, pumps to the main line, feeds up to the tank, same.
same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have a separate.
No, same path as well here.
It's just that, if. Which means if they come, well, I mean, that pump there, when it turns and goes to that combination valve, it feeds the main lines, it's feeding the whole system as well.
Yes. It's the backup, it's not the development.
Right, sure. Well, the backup is still feeding the whole, 'cause it's not stopped in any way from feeding the whole.
No, it's feeding the tank, but it's not feeding the rest of the old system, carry system.
Right.
Right, in the original design that I presented, as an option, and I said, engineer it however you want it, but here's a design that would allow you to achieve all three levels with one pump.
what I want to make sure is if we go this route, it's more likely that once the Port Allen well kicks on for emergency or backup or whatever you want to call it, it would feed the tank, and then from the tank, it would still feed the entire system.
It would only feed the old port side of the system, one feed
It can't get
to the other system, whereas
back to carry.
originally I designed it slightly different through Valley, and it would feed. It could feed either way.
So through the combination valve, or through the combination valve, it does not feed your portion of the system.
Correct. In other words, basically the design I was giving was basically the Port Allen would obviously feed the tank, and the Allen carry well could feed the tank.
But the Port Allen tank is higher than its size.
I'm
So
at
why
one,
couldn't we tie in the tank through a pressure reducing valve back into the system that you're saying would be bypassed almost? And it doesn't have to feed constantly, it would only be when the pressure changes.
is this feeding the gravity portion or the other portion?
I'm talking a portion that was gonna get bypassed with the set in your system, saying it would get missed.
The problem is there's not enough head. And actually they've actually, previous developer tapped. It's just a house that's at like a 120, like 120.
From the Port Allen tank
Yeah.
to your system,
Okay.
there's not enough
To drive my old system,
not enough.
not enough.
So then there would have to be a booster pump.
Right, and that's originally how I had it designed, where you take the supply line being the tank, and there's a booster, and the booster does one of two things. It reduces it, feeding it back into my own line, but then pushes it up into their line and the higher zone. See, there's like three different, see, this is what engineering should have, in my opinion, what the engineering should have did is write just a small thesis here, when I say thesis, meaning outline, executive summary, of what we're trying to do. Because you're blind, I'm only knowledgeable because
You've been around
Yeah,
this
yeah,
particular system, right?
and because there's, they should, we could have caught one of these errors potentially if it's an error, where you have this, I call it 0 to 140, I'll call it the 100 to 170, which is my old system, and then everything above 170 to 265. And we were trying to achieve all, and Mike Michaels, the engineer for West Sound, came up, I presented an idea. He went to the drawing board, did the test, water test, to figure out the flows and all this, and came up with a different plan. And we have that before us. The problem with it is, in the process of doing that, we've missed a segment of it, my opinion. Unless we decide that we're gonna try to go with ladder tanks for a little bit longer, some period,
I don't want to go with the water
No.
tanks if we can avoid it.
No, I get it.
So Travis, my concern would be that the Port of Allen well is a backup well at this point, great, or will be. But we can't get the water from the storage tank of the Port of Allen back into Cary to actually feed the homes.
Right.
That's in Cary's system. That's a massive concern. Now, some of this could be done through communications. Maybe there's even a booster pump. Communication says, hey, I've only got 5 feet in the tank. Port of Allen well kicks on. And maybe it kicks on a booster pump at the same point. All this could maybe be dealt with, but I'm telling you, there's no way I would go with this system if we can't have a backup well and, a backup well to actually feed, we got a backup well to feed the water to the water system, but we can't do it. That's really unacceptable to a large section. How many homes would be on
Well, for sure, right now, 22, right? And then there'll be some more coming on. Because there's a number of us developers who kind of hung up waiting for the consolidation to go through to allow. And
Well, and then also, I'm just looking at it here, is the way that the DOH would need to define consolidation. Does this plan actually consolidate?
I don't think they would be happy at all
I don't think
having a backup well that actually can't feed a pretty good section of your system.
It
That's
probably,
the whole redundancy factor of the backup well, so
Right.
it takes care of everybody.
Correct.
Yeah.
What do you got, Scott? You got
Well, we need a booster pump, though, that's the point. We need a
Yeah.
booster pump to do that. And
Yeah.
I'm familiar with those because as a companion, we actually, our system is designed to go from one hill to the other and booster pumps. And I can basically, if this system goes down over here, I can manually turn on pumps to pump water from one hillside
Right.
to their hillside.
Yes.
I have an idea design, should try it. I just didn't think that's where we're going.
And I think we could do that through controls, through the
Yeah, I think-
communications.
Minimal, what I had laid
Yeah.
out for previously for the port was minimal. I've always kept looking at the system, what's the most reliable with the least human intervention with the, yet reliable and predictable. And I came up with a booster system that basically pulled water off the port system to feed my own system, but it boosted it and then went to reducing valve. And part of that higher pressure went in a different direction for the higher up development, and the lower pressure went into my own system.
Yeah, and I think it could be done through pump and communication.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not a huge fan of pressure tanks. They
No,
create drama over time,
Yes,
you know.
I know.
Anyhow.
I likewise, I lived with it for a while, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
I just got these two. So the W3 is what again, Jeff?
We're-
W4, just
we're-
we're all over the prints. It's just a
Oh, we're,
where
yes.
the water line, yeah, W3 is what again?
And a
That's
water line that's being abandoned.
That's the band. W3, the,
W4 is my old water line, it's for,
okay. Okay.
um,
What other concerns did you have?
well, my concern is this, no matter, assuming we get something to work out of this thing. We don't need that big of an apparatus in the, as far as the valves go. At the well house, I mean, the most you're ever gonna get out of there is 250, 300 gallons a minute. With a 6-inch well. I mean, it just, I mean, you got too much distance, to pull it up and what have you. I mean, I've looked at pumps way back and I can't see anything.
And that's referring to the line size, being such a size.
Oh, yeah, in other words, I don't understand. I saw the write-up and the answers to my questions on that one email. I beg to differ a little bit. It's like, well, you're feeding the 8-inch, so why do you need an 8-inch line coming from my old well? There's no way you're gonna be those kind of gallons. Ever.
Well,
Even 6 inches oversized.
I would never say never. So I want to make sure,
Yeah.
we're planning for today, obviously,
No,
but for the future.
I agree.
And you can't set fire hydrants off a 6-inch
No,
line.
no, but
So-
see, you wouldn't matter the fire. There's no fire hydrants in between this module called my old well house. There's nothing in between. It's kind of like, it's a feeder to get into the system. The rest of the stuff, as far as 8-inch, yeah, that makes sense. All the streets, the fire hydrants, all that kind of stuff needs to be 8-inch, no problem. And that can be. What I'm saying is, the money spent, you don't gain it. I don't see where the port's ever gonna gain anything.
But how far from where you're saying this, your well house to where it actually ties in?
100 feet max.
He's probably worried about friction
Not in
loss
this-
a little bit with the 6-inch on 6-inch. You might not worry about friction loss on some level when you're trying to blow a fire hydrant. You don't
No,
know.
but see, the fire hydrant's off tank, 8-inch, not the old system, not the carrier system.
But they will be, right?
No, still,
Once it's all tied
This-
together.
yeah, well, but even when it's all tied together, no, it's coming out the tank.
Okay.
We're coming in at a different angle. We can only push in there to, with the biggest pumps known for that, well, 250, 300 max. Gallons per minute, max. Unless the plan is to drill another well, that kind of.
Wow. Hopefully there's gotta be something that road. It might not be us sitting there, but yes.
All I'm just getting at is, 8-inch, when all it's feeding it, currently, basically your draw pipe's 2-inch. So technically you're feeding it with it 2 to 8.
Yeah.
And all I'm trying to do is save the port money. I mean.
Well, I don't wanna cut it short.
No, I
That's
agree.
all I
I
got.
agree. Tell me, I'm always that way. Wired that way.
I don't wanna cut it short, maybe 10 years, 20. something.
Well, maybe here's the, if you're gonna, tap off the 8-inch line, put an 8-inch T in and you run 6 feet, 8 feet, whatever you have to do with 8-inch line.
Fair.
And then it reduces down to a more, a size that we're dealing with now, especially if instead of going around the pump house connect, you're just coming straight up.
Right, sure.
And, the linear footage of pipe is really what we're trying to save here.
Well,
But if it does ever get to the point where you're going to put in a 6-inch well casing and a huge well in that location,
Right.
you would be able to increase the size of that.
If there's water, available there, well, I can see an 8-inch casing going in, I can see.
No,
10-inch casing
No,
going in.
a long time ago, Robert Noble asked me, can you afford to, put in, 10? I said,
Right.
no, or an 8. I said, no, I cannot. I said, can we get, my application was for 100 acre feet. I said, can we drive 100 acre feet with a 6 inch? And he says, it depends on the characteristic of the well. And when Arcadia put the well in, one of the terms they said to me was, it's too bad you didn't put a bigger casing, because right now as it sits, if you had a big enough pump, you can easily draw 1,200 out of here, no sweat.
Right. When we're doing all this.
No, I get, but I think what has to be done is analysis and time has to be looked at, because if what we're talking about is 40 years out, that's one thing. If it's 5 years out, it's another. And I'm all for buffers. I don't want to cut it short that way either.
Just by looking at the dynamics of the flat, how much growth the land that really is. Out on this. Do we really expect that you would have to upgrade it even more than circle?
I'd have to look at the math. I did the math before, but I don't believe, my recollection is no.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Work. So, if there was going to be continued service to beyond the power lines.
Right.
In the plant, we would most likely would be more cost effective to put another infrastructure up the other side. Rather than trying to cross. To go on power.
Right.
Okay, so we're saying Cary has 50 gallons a minute, that's gonna be the primary source.
Right.
Once this happens. And you're saying the portobello is 65 gallons a minute,
80.
But no, no, but,
New pump.
oh, it's 85, okay, so it's
but,
80.
but the question is, did he do it with the 65? He been, Michael's when he prepared all this, or did he do it with the 85?
I sent him the specs.
Okay, so he's changed.
Yeah, you should have.
Up to a few months ago, we were doing 65.
Right, and we're hoping to go back to the engineer and say, listen, you gotta make sure the portobello can function and fill the tank.
Yeah.
So we could, and what I'm wondering is, summer hits, we've got busy, hey, we got a fire or something, I mean, we can run both these together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanna make sure.
We just can't pull Valve water into the old carry system at the moment. As it's.
Right, and that's what you wrote down, is,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
kind of. We could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't,
we
yeah,
can't.
at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that got lost in transaction, either, in translation.
Well, I'm not so sure why he would think that that's acceptable.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 gallon, then it's a little light in my opinion.
No, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
um,
It's good for a while, but it's on the light side. And there was plans that upgraded at that needed point.
right, I just want to make sure we can run the port valve
Yeah.
in conjunction, that's what I want to make sure.
Travis, I could, to get the conversation started from if it goes to a booster type thing, I can pull up that old drawings that I had way back when and provide you those. So you have a reference point, because that's in effect what we were doing. Because we wanted a common reservoir is basically what we're trying to get to.
That was what my, thought process where we're headed. One common reservoir, two systems.
Yeah,
And I know that's what the college and Department of Health heard, because we sat in those meetings.
yeah, they're not going to be happy with.
No, I don't think so.
I don't.
Not based upon all the stuff we heard, even on the college side, which is not the health side, but just how the water rights used. tell me when, have something to add. I looked into the, surge protection for larger amperages and what have you. And it's, the terminology is what they call an AC line reactor is what it is. I'm not saying to get going on that right away, but I'm saying that's what they typically put in front ahead of the load.
Yeah.
And specifically for motors, pumps and things like that. Somehow it's able to knock out the spikes. I don't,
It's like, it strains the power so that it's consistent.
We use soft starts
Yeah.
on a lot of our wells and stuff. It acts like that too, and we use Southworth Electric. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but he does all the electrical for Manchester Water, West Sound, North Perry Water. He does Belfair Water. This is what he does. And he's reasonable and one-man shop, but it's very good. So electrical
One man
stuff.
shop stuff. What
Yeah.
it's like.
and the reason I bring this device up, it's not electronic. Meaning
Correct.
when I'm this
Yeah.
line reactor, it's basically all it is. It's kind of like a transformer, but it's an inductor. And basically, it's, if it fails, you fail.
Sure.
You have either burnt windings or I mean, right after that, rules breakers.
And I just want to throw out Southworth Electric.
Yeah, no, I.
Yeah, he's very good.
Anything anybody else has with regards to the consolidation portion, which is this. Producer assembly and all that kind of.
Yeah, that were my concern. Just want to make sure that they both could run and feed and
Yeah.
supply the entire system. So
I didn't realize, Travis, that the bid included tying in the houses there above.
Yeah.
And so when I made a comment about asphalt, yes,
Right.
there is.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing is that.
There's no kind of right away.
That's,
Yeah.
whenever anyone looks at the terrace scan, that's what you assume, because it literally says that those roads are long. And we know that there's. So I can remind him of that those are all private.
The other thing is, if I look at his drawing correctly, and maybe it's just the way I had to show it. Those 5 that you're concerned about, addresses 41 through 81. They were fed by 1 2-inch off of the port system. In my mind, there's no reason that can't still be used. Just chop it off and tap it into my own system to get the pressure. And so it's 1 tap, not 5 or 2.5 or 3. Because otherwise you're gonna tear the hill apart trying to get it all straightened out.
Oh, maybe going around the walls.
No, I'm talking about what these houses are below them, how high it is to read those meters, right? If you tried to run those singularly, you're gonna just tear the hill apart. And I'm saying, they're fed by a 2-inch, that should be more than adequate for 5 houses. And if you move it,
There should only be one.
right, so you just cut off the ports, because they're going right over the top, vinyl line. And you just cut off
I'm
what,
not sure. That,
okay, well, out
how old is the manifold?
to 2021, 22,
Okay, 3 or 4 years old.
2021.
My initial comment, now I haven't been up there on the hill, I haven't seen anything,
Sure.
just
No,
my
no.
initial impression would be. If we're gonna be doing any of this, let's get it cleaned up, let's run a real main down there, let's do the individual taps. Let's get it cleaned up,
I hear you.
leaving old manifolds in there, extra water lines, and it's a problem down the road.
We should just think it all the way through.
Oh, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, when you go, somebody has a service line leak or something, you can shut it off just on one, you're not trying to shut the manifold off, and people are digging stuff in later, and how come we got this random water line over here? I'm just saying, if we're gonna spend a dollar, we'll spend $1.10, $1.25, and let's get.
It's, in my observation, and I'm not, I don't do construction full time, but anyway, but it's like a 3X. I mean, it's gonna be 3 times what it would take to do that one tap and put it out on that 2-inch on mine. It's gonna be easily 3 to 4 times more expensive to separate out those lines like they should have been and tap it that way. And so unfortunately, the previous director allowed it.
That's what I'm saying, maybe we're here to like, fix it. Maybe we're here to be like, hey, wait a minute, and, and I understand that we don't know that.
Hey,
And, yeah, I did see the bid, estimate
that would be weak if that's the case.
for this. Now, here's what I gotta say about the bid estimates from the engineer. They're very high. I do not. Yeah, and I don't normally supply them. I normally go out for bid without that.
No,
So,
this won't be available.
yeah, so I don't send that out, and normally the bids come in quite a bit.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just saying that even looking at time, just thinking what it's gonna take work on that hill to straighten those out. And the amount of crossing utilities in playing, it's gonna be ugly.
did you say that the meters are already in a weird spot to read now?
They're hard to get
So
to.
that can be cleaned up and brought up.
Oh, my ass.
I'm just saying,
Pretty sharp.
and maybe I can go up there and look and see what you're doing after the meeting or something. We go up there.
Yeah, sure.
I can say, no, this is totally doable, or like, yeah, man, this could rough, but it's like, don't
Yeah.
speed.
No, I get it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to go.
Okay.
Deal the land there.
Yeah, I know it also will. I got pictures of it, even when we opened up. That's how we know it's a 2-inch line. Cause there's no documentation on it. Otherwise,
Yeah, I want to try to get it somewhat normal, where you got just real water main running down the road, and
I agree.
every once in a while, we got a few taps here, we've got this.
I agree. I'm 110% with you on that one, just that it may not all come at once. Okay, well, that's all I have on Department of Health portion. Anybody else have anything on that one?
I believe I have all your questions.
Okay. On the as-bills, I provided a copy of how I would expect them to be. And these are not like that. And what I mean by that is, these are good. There's nothing wrong with them as far as, but we have, in my drawings, you have a layout of the street and then you have a profile of the street. And that was like the first thing we need to get through all this stuff to know where we
I
are.
don't think they could create the profiles we actually. Then, well, maybe not on yours. But on,
Okay.
yeah. Because you did provide
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And I can put that as another question.
Well, but even there, like to Blackwell Street, there they should have been able to put yours in and put profiles, because I had profiles on your well, your water lines.
That's a street view profile.
Well, there's a street view, like you're vertically looking down, right, and then there's a elevation profile, and that way it allows you to see the other utilities and their relationship with each other on the elevation portion at any given spot. And I mean, I provided the 5 drawings of our system with notes on, any additions or corrections that we've come across over the years. So. And all I'm trying to do in that issue is, complete that portion of the contract, with and with the port as far as me providing as-built for the port. When you do it this way, if you don't have an elevation thing, it just drives you nuts. And he's got elevation on this map, you know, or this drawing, but it's surface elevation. It's not depth elevation, if you know what I'm saying. It's the topography elevation, not how the utility is laid in the ground. And we need it in the ground. I mean, it's nice to know, you know, these different points for these different elevations, but anybody else have anything on the as-bills?
No. That's maybe a dumb question, but I want to make sure that we're up to speed as far as our standards, as far as the specs and all that stuff with materials we require and all that. Is it
Yeah,
pretty current?
written into the, at least in the bid is, everything's gotta be.
And we've got a nice.
Davis bacon, prevailing wage.
Yeah.
But you have-
Materials required for this particular project.
But the port has that like 100-page document with the construction standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
That
that.
says exactly what fire hydrant you want, or that center.
I mean, you'll have to
It's-
check.
Yeah, it's built from over 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, that's something that we could actually go and look at, making some amendments to with like these new fire hydrants that have checkups.
Right.
Those are actually listed in our specifications.
So, okay, so yeah, I think that's very important, even though everything's important, but I think that's very important, especially with developers doing more main extensions and all that. Gotta make sure what's actually going in the ground, what's actually what we want and need for today and future, so.
Right.
Yeah, those, because that's what they're going on.
No, that's-
What you're
That's
saying.
how we got sideways partially with previous director, with like this thing we're trying to correct on Blackwell Street with those, you know, 2-inch line, 55 houses.
Yeah, it's okay, so I,
Yeah, if I could provide our current standards and materials specifications, maybe we could, look at it every now and then and maybe come together on a plan of things to add to it, like a month or a month and a half. Nice long lead time to have her just be able to absorb some of those bits and pieces and say, hey, this really isn't being done anymore. This is,
correct.
plan is almost 10 years old. Well, let's look at some of these new, ways of going about things.
But I tried to do what I just did at the other company. And it took a process. It took 8-9 months or better, maybe a year, but I finally got a real proper set of specs. And got them cleaned up, like this is modern, this is what we need, this is real, this will take us in the future. And then I plan on reevaluating that every 4 years or so and changing if it needs change. I do have a set that I will provide if you guys want to look that.
Yeah.
But it took maybe a year out of my life to get it.
Sure. Anybody that's given me or
Yeah.
anything, it's a year I don't have to spend.
Exactly.
So anything else from any of the other committee members?
I just haven't seen it flip phone for a long
I
time,
know.
Jeff, so that's pretty awesome.
I'm not upgraded yet.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, as long as it keeps working and it folds so nice in the pocket and
What do you guys have?
I just asked about the previous comment that started, is our meetings, are they brought up at the ports meeting about?
Yeah.
When the next meeting, tentative meeting is scheduled,
Not on this last one.
there might be a tentative meeting and what we're discussing.
Right, I've just, been setting them up on the website.
And we just notice on the website. They might just see something to mention that the actual port meeting is
When the next water committee meeting.
tentative next water committee meeting, and then what the the discussion might be at that meeting to give him the heads up if he wants to.
I would say the next discussion is whatever we work out with this thing. You know, as soon as you get, we get it figured out and back at it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Look at, yeah.
Hey, I think we got specs to look at. We've got.
But, I'm saying, and that, but I'm saying.
Oh, it is. Right.
This, yeah, because this is holding up, anybody from, north portion of the Platte doing anything.
In different sections of the water system,
Yeah.
this consolidation. has
And how long has this been in process?
not- Longer than before me.
It's been a long time, but let's just say that it's really been focused on in the last 10 months.
Yeah.
So it's been held up development for probably.
Yes.
Well,
Really
yeah.
last year.
Well,
That's,
very well. Those things have been mitigated, finished with the issue of water. Developer extension agreements and the water policy integrated with those in the past.
Okay.
So they, actually currently, anyone who's on the Port of Allyn portion of the system actually applies for water through that.
That we're waiting for the.
So the qualifications will change where in the system you could apply.
it's right now, wherever the 8-inch trunk is, they can apply right now.
Yep.
But wherever
So wherever
our
it
old
is,
system
the old
is,
4-inch pressure system.
Do you know how many properties that affects development wise,
yes.
roughly?
You mean
Yes,
that,
I know.
I mean, there's. If this went through, then technically there's about 60 lots that could be hooked up. Additional lots. I mean, people are gonna have to do extension, agreements and extend things, what have you, but I'm saying. The device to allow this to occur when set up right, that would easily do another 60.
I have a question. So we are relatively new as a committee here. I mean, we've had 3 meetings or something, at the best. So I heard rumors a year or 2 ago or 3 years ago that there was another well that was possibly in the works. Is that off the table?
The well came off the table when the opportunity to buy the existing well came into play.
Okay, that money, whatever
And
happened,
actually-
you purchased.
Yeah.
And then the scope for being able to get that money was rewritten to accommodate buying a well rather.
Okay.
Slight tweak to that, just to my, because I was friends on it now before. The port was going down the path of getting another well, and that was the whole grand plan. Along the way, one January meeting up on the hill, once we started looking at the numbers, when Larry Pula and I started going through the numbers, I said, port's got a problem. You're not gonna have enough money to do this. And so then we started looking at, so what other options can we do? And that's what we came up with this.
Right, I don't mind the purchase and the carrier well, it's fine, and it actually gave us some grounds and connections and
Yeah.
gave us a
Yeah.
lot of stuff with it, but I see in time, we might have to rehabilitate the carrier well.
Yeah, in other words,
inside.
when I was originally laying out, I said, okay, here's what I see what you can do with my well capacity wise and what that would feed going into the future. So I gave, a whole array of numbers.
Right.
Because, I didn't want it to appear that in any way, shape or form that I'm screwing the port. And short and sweet.
No, it is what it is, everybody goes into a business deal hour, but in time, we're gonna have to probably
Yeah.
rehabilitate it well, if there's plenty there, which you say it is, so. Okay. That's all I got, anybody else got anything?
I don't have anything other than, the next meeting that we have will be on the same subject. Because obviously we didn't approve it.
I
I
have
recommend
used this engineer before, and I've had to be very close with him during the process.
I would agree. I have not used this engineer before, but when Travis and I met with him, it did take a few iterations
Yes, sir.
to look at a different approach to maybe a little bit more cost effective approach. And,
Yeah.
and then, once into it, then we're fine. Just along the way here, we missed the key little factor.
I'm using one of those projects, I guess I'm trying to down this cost.
Yeah. So anyway, that would be what the next meeting would be, right? That was, I mean,
Yeah, I'll take all these questions. We will diligently to bring the bid into a different line of thinking. All the questions that we've got. Propose another rendition of what the intertie should look like.
right.
And,
And I'm not saying mine was the correct one, but I'll send it to you when I originally,
I mean, I may even have to schedule it for another Zoom. West South to.
right.
Get this all nailed down. But after that, we will go through it again before we actually present it to the commission, because we
Right.
don't want to present something to the commission that the committee isn't ready to.
Yeah, no,
And approvals by the commission is advisory.
Right, yeah.
The board is the ultimate decision maker, so.
but
There's no
they're,
decisions made here that are concrete, they're just.
no, they're advisory.
They're leading to an overall suggestion for.
No advisory, but there's no chance in hell without, committee digging through it.
When I dug into this and read through it and looked at some of these things, I'm not sure this solves the problem.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
We'll keep coming back until it does.
Okay, I will then go to item 5, which is the second public comment. Nobody's in the room. Anybody in Zoom line would care to comment? And you have 3 minutes.
I'd like to comment.
Let's see, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that was a lot of technical data, but thank you for that. Anyways, so what I was hoping to hear more of is timeframes for the merging of the systems. Typically, little background, I've been developing and building homes for almost 30 years in Washington State. Our company owns 4 water systems and manages them. Typically, my experience has been when systems expand or merge, it's usually about a 9 to 12 month process. We're about 17 months into this process with the port and the carry system merging. So I'd like to see a little more urgency on getting that pushed through with Department of Health. Initially, when we started buying lots in the Plat of Allyn, we have 60 plus lots in there currently. We bought 117 total. It was represented to us that the Port of Allyn had 332 water shares, and the port then after a while did not disclose to us that they only had 132. So in an effort to make that right, we'd like to see the port be a little bit more expedient in making sure that they're getting this addressed quickly. To make this problem right, ensure public trust. Also, for the benefit of the people living in the Plat of Allyn, the longer this takes, the longer it is for them. It puts off the roads being paved, leaves a lot of vacant lots, which can be attract a more rough element, homelessness, garbage, crime, which we're trying to avoid. And the homeowners in the Plat would like to see that come to an end. And so we need to get new houses built, the roads paved, and get things cleaned up in there. And we need water to do that. So that is something I'd like to see more focus on from the committee. At the time of making the merger happen between the 2 systems, making that a top priority. And also just ensuring that the processes are development friendly, small business friendly, general public friendly. As we're not the only ones building in the Plat of Allyn. There's different homeowners, different individuals that have property in there. So that needs to be taken into consideration. Ultimately, the policies that are put forth by this committee, the cost of those policies are passed on to the end user, which is the home buyer. And there's a big problem with inflation in this country, debt in this country, and we need to get the cost of things down. And we need those in in position to influence that, to take that seriously. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Salem. Anybody else there in Zoom land? Not seeing any.
I'd like to comment, Jeff.
Sure, go ahead.
I appreciated the meeting. You folks are volunteers doing this. I just had one issue that I couldn't hear Mr. Merrill. It was real off and on. I don't know where the mic is located, but I was having a hard time hearing his comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? You give me the order?
I think so.
Okay, well, during the meeting, thank you.